Welcome, final expense agents and brokers, to the most popular audio training and podcast in the industry, The Lead Jerk Show, where we cut through the red tape and give you only the best in expert interviews. So strap in and grab a cold beverage and get ready to learn and earn. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce you to the one and only Matt Lowery, also known as The Lead Jerk.
All right, everybody, we've got Jimmy Hobson here on the call and interview today with National Senior Marketing. Jimmy is a longtime agent dealing with final expense, Medicare supplements, as well as Medicare Advantage plans. So he's going to tell you all about it. And again, to get the very best in final expense and now Medicare teleleads, check us out at www.theleadjerk.com. Again, www.theleadjerk.com. Now, on with the show.
Okay, everybody, we have Jimmy Hobson here. He is with National Senior Marketing out of the great state of, I believe, Utah. Jimmy, first of all, I appreciate you being here and, going to expand on some of your knowledge on a few different areas of insurance that you specialize in, and maybe some cross-selling information, stuff like that. So here in the intro, could you give us, your name again and contact information, website, phone number if you want to, and just kind of a summary of, of what you do on a day-to-day basis and how you got to where you are now.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so obviously Jimmy Hobson, I'm Jimmy UT on the forum for you guys that are obviously getting that link. I have two websites, www.utahseniorservices.com, which is my personal producing website for Medicare. I have crossed to the dark side, and I'm doing a little marketing for Medicare products mainly, www.nationalsm for senior marketing or nationalsm.com. You can also email me at Jimmy at either of those two places, nationalsm.com or utahseniorservices.com. Phone number if you want to reach me, have at it, 801-979-6365 is my mobile. As long as you call me after 8 o'clock Mountain Standard Time and before 8 o'clock Mountain Standard Time in the evening, I'm usually pretty good to answer the phone. My background is pretty simple. I got an insurance license 01, 02, and didn't do anything with it just because it's a hard business to transition into without the proper funds. So I saved enough money, got back in 09, started up with Equita Final Expense Services, was trained over the phone because I've never done a ride along with the great Tim Winders. Yeah, I know, great, huh? And, he taught me, and obviously I was under Travis's group, and talked quite a bit with JD as well, and that's where I got started. As I was going down the path in the business, I kept referring a ton of Medicare Advantage business to a buddy of mine, and he thought I was crazy. He's like, "What are you doing?" And that's back when they used to pay the $400 commissions, instead of the $200. And
right.
Also back when you could change plans from January 1 to March 31st for a single election. So between about the 22nd of December and March 31st, I wrote 40 plans, with just off final expense leads, believe it or not. And so that's kind of what launched me into the business. And now I have between 400 and 500 Medicare clients, working as little as possible, as well as, having done final expense. Now I'm doing a little bit of marketing just because I built a big enough book of business with Medicare that my renewals are good enough that I don't have to go grind it and sit in cat piss all day long. So I choose not to.
I hear you.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, I do know what you mean. So, as far as that's how you got into it. What spawned you actually to get in insurance? And then I guess a secondary question on that would be, obviously you mentioned you wrote quite a bit of MA on the final expense leads. What and a lot of people listening know the answer to this, but a lot will not. And I'm sure the formula for success is quite the same for other people that have transitioned the same as you. But what was the moment where you transitioned from wanting to do final expense to Med Advantage, Med Subs, I guess?
Well, I mean, obviously what led me to get into the business was the initial time I didn't make it, and then, I had some personal issues. I ended up getting divorced and getting custody of my kids, and I was working in the car business, working 50, 60-hour weeks, and
oh wow, yeah,
just didn't work anymore. I'm raising two kids. I took my kids at the ages of 2 and 7. Now they're almost 12 and 17. So I've had them for 10 years, and so I needed to find something that was a little less painful than retail. And final expense just happened to be the thing, and I got into it not knowing anything, and I was just kind of piddling along, and I bought a bunch of aged leads, as much as people can talk about those, and like JD always says, a lead's a lead, direct mail doesn't rarely, go out of style, and I bought a bunch of aged leads at the time and went and worked it and just had a couple of huge weeks for me at the time, and I just really launched into it. Like I mentioned earlier, I started writing MA because I probably referred $10,000 worth of commissions to my buddy and wasn't getting paid anything because I didn't really have, hadn't had any interest in it. And the interest lied because I realized all my clients were either low income, had some sort of low income subsidy, and or, living in poverty like a lot of final expense people do, or, they were all of age, either disability or, over 65. And I thought, well, crap, I'm leaving money on the table. If I can get a couple of these a week out of the 20 or 25 leads I'm getting, even if it's the end of the year, I could pay for my leads, my final expense leads, because I was paying $400 or $500 a week in leads, and I thought, oh, this is a good way to handle it. I was on like an 85-point contract at the time, so I thought, shit, I got to make some more money somehow,
I hear you.
So that's kind of how I transitioned, and as I started learning it, I realized, in order to be a more well-rounded agent, at least in my mind, I needed med subs, because obviously I had a United Healthcare Medicare Advantage contract, which comes with the supplement contract. So I started writing a bunch of those, and I've really kind of transitioned the last couple of years to doing quite a bit over the phone, sending direct mail to some of the more rural counties with low penetration and doing that. And then I get a ton of referrals. Where I got a lot of my business early on, though, is I ask every client who their Medicare's with. It's pretty simple. Ask them who their Medicare's with. Are they happy with the plan they have? One key is just like in final expense, if you know your products, you know something maybe better out there for them. It may benefit them more. Obviously, there's limiting factors to what you can actually ask people or qualify people for with Medicare Advantage, but the rules were not quite as stringent 6 years ago as they are now. So that's where I got into the Medicare Advantage, and then I did some, I sat in some Walmarts during AEP and actually built quite a book of business. And you'll see people give pros and cons about doing that on the forum. But, for me, I just, I did whatever I could to get business, and the referrals and stuff, over time have paid off. I mean, I spent a lot of hours in a Walmart, but, and I wouldn't do it now, but back when the plans were in flux here, I probably wrote, probably 50, 60 plans out of a Walmart, and I've been referred another 50 or 60 people. So, you figure 120 plans renewed at $200 a year. It's a pretty good coin for the time I spent in a Walmart. And for me, the biggest thing is great as final expense is money-wise. This is more long-term, so I think they balance one another. I always, I tell people, like I told you earlier, I was like, I think final expense and MA are like guns and bullets. They go together hand in hand. A lot of guys sell indemnity plans. I think indemnity plans are pieces of crap. I think $30 or $40 a month is much better spent on a final expense policy. But
I do too.
But I'm also, a guy who had a parent die when I was young, and so I realized the value of life insurance that we didn't have. So, it's a different animal that a lot of people don't look at it in the same way. So that's kind of how I got into it. And, because I built my book to the point, I figured, not everybody's an expert, not everybody's a recruiter, and, I certainly don't claim to be an expert per se. I do know what I'm doing. I've obviously sold a ton of policies face-to-face with both. I credit a lot of my final expense stuff to the guys that, whether it be Tim or Travis or JD, the guys that kind of, gave me the advice or taught me the way to go there.
Right.
And MA, obviously, my good friend who actually was in the car business with me is who I guess you'd call my FMO is. He's above me at National Senior Marketing. He is the principal. He's been doing it since we both tried to leave the car business way back in 01, 02, and he's an awesome, situation being different than mine, obviously. But, that's kind of how I got started. For me, it was all about making a better life for my kids where I wasn't gone all the time. And insurance has been great for that. So.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it myself immensely. I still consider myself somewhat of a green pea, but I got a pretty sharp learning curve and pretty fast for taking on a lot of data at one time and trying to figure that shit out. So I've
Exactly.
done okay with it. You gotta have a sharp mind most of the time. Let me ask you, like with final expense, this is great. I'm taking notes. This is a great learning experience for me and for people listening. Could you touch on, I know what penetration rates are, what that means, but for people listening that may not know what that means, could you delve into that just a little bit? That way maybe somebody's listening, like, what does it mean, penetration rate, or,
Oh, you mean like how many people have MA with final expense?
There you go. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's hard to say. I mean, the MA penetration in the county I live in is over 40%. I would say on the final expense plans I've sold, just off of direct mail leads, because that's how I quantify it, I would say 80% or more have MA, and if they don't, normally they have some sort of retirement plan. I do live 15 miles south of a very large Air Force base. There's quite a bit of the federal plans here, so that adds a little bit into it. But of the people I have seen, the majority are on MA, and of those people, I would bet a third of them are what they call low income, or on the low income subsidy, which means they're partial Medicaid, which means they can change plans anytime they want, as long as they have that election. And so that's kind of where I build a book. Now, a lot of people have agents, but I tell people all the time, I'm the guy that if you're not happy with your agent, I'm happy to go in and be your agent. A lot of the companies allow you to do what they call an AOR, an agent of record change. Humana is one of those, where if someone really likes you and thinks you're the best thing since sliced bread, they can change agents. Do I think you're going to get rich overnight and write 300 plans in 4 months? No, I'm not that delusional. That being said, if you take care of your people, you can make a list and reach back out to people, come AEP and say, hey, especially if the key, just like anything else, just like being a good final expense agent, you need to know what tools work for who. Like out here, United Healthcare is the major player, but we've got Humana, we've got Altius, and if someone's looking for certain things, you need to know which providers take what, which hospital systems take who, and then as people ask you questions, you're able to answer them. I pride myself in being the agent that answers the phone when my clients call. I'm always back in touch with people, and I remember, and I have a memory, which I can remember final expense people I sold 6 years ago. It's crazy, but so I try to pride myself in that, but again, all I'm seeing is MA people. So I thought, well, I'm a dumbass if I don't start writing some of this product. Right. And it's been huge. My renewal base is such that, like I said, really, I can dabble in this whole marketing thing, should I choose, and which I'm doing, and if I don't want to send a bunch of direct mail right now, I don't have to, which is kind of nice. Right.
So with the system you guys are setting up, or the platform you guys set up, you have a way that you can train agents, like even final expense agents, that if they come and say, hey, Jimmy, basically I want to, I'd like to maybe get involved with this MA a little bit, and just for the mere fact of, if I'm not selling a final expense plan, if they're not buyers, maybe, we can set up something with an MA. Because the whole thing with that is there's a lot of confusion on how actually to penetrate that market, how actually to get that product in front of those people and switch it or whatever. It's different than the med stuff, obviously. You can do it at any time, but there are, a lot of more heavier rules and regulations with CMS involved with the MA. So do you guys have that pretty much nailed down on, I'm not even sure if it's different state to state, but
it depends on the plans. MA is one of those things, it's hard to really market. Obviously, you can't telemarket for MA. So I suggest, like, agents that have a book of business to first and foremost reach out to their book of business. Just like kind of like what Dave Duport is doing, having Medicare agents reach out to their book and sell final expenses. Kind of the reverse of that.
Right.
And the a lot of the training occurs when you do the AHIP, obviously with MA, and then you go through the carrier trainings. But what we can help people do is we can help people get retail opportunities, and just like any other, to be honest with you, can I do a lot of things more than anybody else can, any of the other big players? Absolutely not. We're all going to be similar. The difference is we are active producers in the field. We are not junior marketers, as one great man said. We're not guys that are going to blow smoke and not be able to give you answers. If you need real world answers, we're going to have real world answers. we're in the field. I mean, we both have active books of business regardless of what we're doing. We know how to do over-the-phone sales because we got guys that do that here in our office. So we can help people get set up and help people market and give people ideas. At the end of the day, it's all about being compliant because you don't want to have issues with CMS.
Right.
If you've got a book of business, you can reach out to your people. There's nothing that says you can't do that.
Well, let me ask you this. Were you talking about that as far as obviously telemarketing is a no-no, but, I guess direct mail could be, I don't even know, and this is good because a lot of people listening that just don't know. With direct mail, and obviously you don't want to, reveal your whole hand here, obviously, but,
sure.
With direct mail, if it's a silent expense lead, I mean, you can go and talk to them, but you just have, there's scope of appointments involved. I guess what I'm trying to say is there's a way to do it.
Yeah. Well, so for me, it's simple. I mean, if I go into a house on a final expense lead, I ask them who their Medicare is with. And they say, well, I've got this, and I ask them a couple questions, see where they may qualify if they happen, and sometimes they'll tell you based on, where their income is, what they may or may not qualify for. If they have low income subsidy but they're not happy, you can kind of probe and ask a certain amount of questions without having to go into detail about plans, which is where you need a scope of appointment.
Right.
At that point, if it looks like something that they may be interested in, you can have them sign a scope of appointment, and you can come back and see them. Or you can also, a lot of people we recommend having like a permission to contact form. They're already your client anyway, but just kind of a CYA, we get a permission to contact form that says, hey, I talked to John about such and such, I'll give you permission to reach back out to me come October when the new Medicare plans come out for January 1, and, kind of discuss my situation, see if there may be something better for me, And that's,
So, for example, if somebody's got a LIS or dual eligible, you could reach back out to them at that point. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You couldn't flip right away. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I've run across people that, a lot of people that are turning 65. I turned 65 at the end of this month or 2 months from now. And have you taken care of Medicare? No, I haven't. Well, let me see if I can help you. We do Medicare 101. I mean, and a lot of times, you're just going, if you discussed all the products, you always want to get a scope if you can, just because it covers you. I mean, if someone wants to talk about med subs, you can go talk about Medicare supplements, and they say, well, I want to ask about this plan my friend has, and then you could always get a scope there and continue on the appointment as long as you outline what's going on. But there's a lot of gray that AHIP covers. You always want to protect yourself because you want to have a scope of appointment. You want to do the right things by people. But I also believe doing the right thing by people is finding out what coverage they have and seeing if something can be better. There may be better coverage, there may not. They may be happy, they may not. But a lot of people just don't know. Like in the areas where there's a lot of dual eligibles, we only have one plan for full duals here in Utah. But there's a lot of areas that have special needs plans and dual plans where they may be able to benefit from something else. And I know that, like, for example, in California, there's supposedly plans that help pay for insulin. That's huge.
Right.
So if you can find that kind of stuff, I mean, but again, I think a lot of it comes down to, is a new agent going to be able to go out right out and do that? It's one of those things, it's a learning curve. You got to find out which plans are best in your area. We can help give you some guidance, obviously, with a lot of that. We obviously offer what a lot of the big ones offer. We have the United Healthcare, the Humanas, the Aetna Coventry,
right.
Cigna HealthSpring, WellCare, those type things. There's going to be some regional plans. A lot of times, like in Florida, they have Florida Blue that we don't deal with. But we're the first to tell you that we want you to be successful and help you find a way. And I mean, even marketing to your own clients. I mean, direct mail is a good way to do it. There's a lot of mail pieces you can send for duals that work just fine, because once they send it back, you have their contact information. They've agreed to be contacted about it.
Right. Now, all this pretty much applies except for the strict marketing or regulations. Obviously, there are on that stuff too, but you have support and systems in place. If somebody contacts you where to say, hey, I'm not interested in MA, but I am interested in trying to, it's like I was telling you earlier, I was dumbfounded this week on the appointments I had. Every single appointment I had a med sup, and all I had done was a few months back, I dropped some mail in an area, but I ran higher income, and I could not believe it. First time ever I have sat with that many people that had med sups. And let me tell you, it really ticked me off, because I would have loved to have been able to, every one of them they could have been replaced. A couple in particular were very high. So, in those instances, I mean, the problem I see, Jimmy, is trying to find somebody, that will actually have that kind of training because, final expense, there's a lot of training available for that. With MedSup, not so much. There's a few, but it's usually, a certain vertical the way it's marketed. So I'm talking about just the bread and butter guy that sells final expense that may want to have an opportunity to, if they're in front of the MedSup and they want to start building a little bit of base, they're not specifically going after MedSup, but it's there. They're going to run across that. I mean, not as often as MA, I understand, but I always think that if people, it depends on the area you're working too. You're not always going to come across MedSups, but they're there. So what do you think about that?
Well, so obviously, training-wise, we're going to do the similar things, and everyone's going to offer contracts, everyone's going to offer the same basic thing. I think with us and where the benefit is, I try to consider myself kind of like the forum for our agents, where people go ask questions. I mean, I'll ask questions too, but I've done enough of the field sales and face-to-face, and I can help people get up to speed in MedSups. I mean, MedSups is not rocket science. I mean, I actually did most of my MedSup training through Frank Stastny's training when I bought his CRM back in the day.
Yep.
And it's been.
I've read his book. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a pretty sweet deal. I mean, and that's how we can get agents up to speed. I mean, we have the ability to kind of point out who may be the best carriers in a particular area. We look at CSG. I also rely on some of the guys that I know on the forum that don't recruit, of course, but have a great reputation to tell me, who's good in their area. I mean, I'm not afraid to ask somebody a question. Like I said, where we benefit is we're the guys that are going to try to help get you as good or better contract than anybody else. But again, we're active producers, and we answer the phone and respond to email. I mean, sometimes I'll send an email out to some of my upline and get a response days later. How does that help me? I mean, frankly, how does that help me? And that's kind of my goal, is to be the guy, as well as these guys that are actively producing here in the office. If I have a question, I can turn around and ask a question. These guys that are doing, I mean, they're selling 150 over the phone every month. So I have the ability to say, well, how'd you do this, and what plan's good in this area? What do you recommend in Louisiana, or what do you recommend in Mississippi or New Jersey? And they tell me. And I said, okay, that's what I wanted to hear, so I can at least disseminate the information. Do I think I'm the world's greatest marketer and world's greatest salesman? No. Do I think there's probably some better guys out there doing final expense, things like that? Yeah. But I think when it comes to Medicare supplements, Medicare Advantage particularly, I think we offer a lot, especially being the fact that we do sell still face-to-face. I mean, I've read a ton of premium in the last year in MedSups alone, as well as MA. So, I've dealt with a lot of the situations. Plus, I have great relationships with a lot of the guys on the forum that don't recruit, but I can ask questions of pretty much at any time and get a response. So, not that other people couldn't do that, but, we try to be a little more beneficial, where we're more than just contracts. We're support. We can train you. I'm happy to spend time with you on the phone and walk you through situations what I've run across, as well as we will eventually have some more in-depth training on the website as we move forward. So.
Okay. And speaking of Medicare supplements now, a lot of people don't even realize that are agents, but that's year-round. I mean, that's up for grabs. That's just, you can I guess you can telemarket for that. You can direct mail for that, whatever.
Yeah.
You can pretty much work it just like you can final expense. Now, as far as, that goes, and, what's your take on that as far as, what do you think? I mean, is it better to, I guess both ways work. It's improvement either way, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's funny is actually, so I was sharing a telemarketer with a couple other guys, and I've also done direct mail. I actually sent a piece to a couple counties in southern Utah that have very low or no MA penetration and got a 4.5% response on changes to Medicare and price increases. And and dialing over the phone, I think both methods work. There's some telemarketer leads out there for MedSups that are pretty decent. My experience has been I prefer direct mail, but that doesn't mean that someone else may not do better than me, with the other. I'll try whatever method works. Even in final expense, I've done direct mail about 80% of the time, but I've tried pretty much every telemarketer lead under the sun.
Right.
Yours to Tad's to David So's. So I've had my experience down there. They all have their pros and their cons, and they're all about the same to me. It's really just contact,
And working your leads, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and MedSups, the beauty of MedSups is they can be sold year-round. Unlike MA. Well, MA can be on turning 65s, obviously, in low income, but MedSups are year-round, and you'd be amazed at how many people. I mean, everyone thinks the underwriting's so strict, but if you understand the products, I mean, for example, Equitable Life and Casualty. I got a lady, preferred coverage. She's a non-smoker with COPD, but she's not on oxygen. Preferred coverage. So, I mean, you don't see that very often with MedSups, but it's possible as long as you understand the underwriting the products. It's easy to go. I mean,
it's like silent spins. You got to understand. You've got to be willing to study and understand the underwriting on MedSups too. Yeah.
Well, and no different than MA. So go ahead.
Right. Okay. So there's qualifying MA as well.
Yeah, you want to. I mean, yes, because obviously they all cover the same basic items. If you've ever looked at an outline of coverage or summary benefits on the MA, but they all cover them differently. Every plan has different maximum out of pockets, different co-pays.
Okay.
How they cover things differently. I mean, so you need to know your products is what it really comes down to. That's where I felt like I've always succeeded. Is I know my products. I know what I have. I know what I'm selling, and I tell people all the time. Even when if you listen to there's old recordings back that I did a couple of those. Teleconferences with Equita, my big push was know your product. You need to know where you can place somebody, and that's where the value of the forum comes in. Because if you don't know, you can ask, and usually you might get a few snarky answers, which are always entertaining.
depending on what time of the day you ask.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or how you ask it. If you don't come across as a complete dumbass, then it's probably okay. But
right, yeah, have a little common sense in the request.
Exactly.
Hey,
exactly.
Let me ask you, because I know you said you did a lot of bird dog work, right? You were shooting that to your guy there, and that's how you kind of rolled into it. Let me ask you your opinion. What if there are agents out there, final expense agents, they're not completely closed off to doing some Medicare supplements, okay? They're willing to do that. But the MA, they're just like, I don't want to do it. I'm not interested in doing that. I don't want to deal with CMS regulations. I don't want to have to get certified, for all that, and have to have a secondary certification with, United Health and how they do all that.
Yep. Is
there, how can they find an MA person that they can trust that, I don't know even the legalities of it or how they could, say, hey, you need to contact these people, or how would they do that, and maybe even set up something where, guys that you're bringing on that are doing MA, if I've got, for example, this is what I'm thinking, if I've got somebody that knows got MA and I don't want to bother with it, if you've got an agent in your group, right, that is near me and I, somehow the information can be exchanged, I don't know how that would work out to be a benefit to the expense guy. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, theoretically, MA is such a tricky animal. I mean, I guess technically you could pay a referral fee out, and finding a guy that you trust. But most guys that refer MA over don't expect anything back other than maybe a reverse referral. There's some guys out there that are talking about doing something along the lines of getting licensed and certified, which is not that difficult, despite claims to the contrary. I mean, the certs this year were a piece of cake. I mean, they might be brain damage, but they're still a piece of cake. And some guys actually have a big enough book of business they're looking at maybe doing hiring an LOA agent. Now, I know people will preach, don't assign commissions, and I get that. But if you got a book of 1,000, final expense clients, and and obviously you'd have to set it up and deal with it in a different way to make sure you're compliantly marketing, of course. But you can always have an LOA agent send them out and split commissions with them, where you can build your book without having to go do excess work. I don't think, you hear horror stories about the regulations. I don't think they're as bad as people try to paint the picture. There's a lot of guys making a ton of money in it. I understand why some people don't want to do it, and that's certainly fine. I mean, it's really a matter of finding someone you trust. I wish people luck in finding an agent that's going to pay them continually or even refer them business back. It's just not that easy. But
agents are a bunch of curmudgeon. Agents can be a bunch of curmudgeon selfish bastards. With A1 personalities and high egos. So it's I guess I'm somewhat of a hybrid there. But I mean, you're right. It's just I guess it's gonna be different for everybody. But everybody has
Sure.
to look at it and see if it's something, for them. But that's always been in the back of my mind is there's got to be a way that, but from what I hear you're saying is if you're thinking about it that hard, you should just go ahead and do it.
Well, I think so. I mean, I don't think the search are that difficult, and even doing them every year is not. I mean, people make them sound. You get on the forum and you're just, oh, this was so horrible. Yeah, it wasn't horrible. I mean, AHIP, I took I mean, obviously I'm a good tester, but AHIP wasn't that difficult, and other than a couple of random questions with Humana that they tried to throw a curveball in there. I mean, certification so far this year have been pretty easy. So, I think if you're thinking about doing it, I mean, like people say, final expense is good short-term money as you build renewals, but they're not huge renewals. Medicare is good long-term money. So I personally think everyone should do it, but just stay out of Utah.
Unless you're coming to the Jimmy Hobson National Senior Marketing Convention.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you want to be underneath me, then you can come out here all you want. But anyway, but I mean, I just think there's a lot of money to be made. I'm not going to tell someone one way or the other, and I'll shoot straight. A lot of these marketers will tell you, oh, you're going to make $100,000 your first year. And that's bullshit. No matter which line you're going, no matter what. Yeah, unless you're not. Yeah. But I think there's money to be made. Yeah. Do I think an agent that's writing a ton of business could theoretically pick up a couple of these a week, even if the bulk of them were during AEP? I believe that. I believe there's a lot of people that are either A, don't know what they have, or B, are not happy what they have, and it's simple as asking. It's no different than asking about any other product in the home. I mean, let's say you work 40. Let's give a hypothetical number. Let's say you work 40 weeks a year. Let's say you pick up an average of 2. I think it's very doable. My opinion, of course. I've seen it done. I think it's doable as long as you work hard, especially if you're writing $30,000, $40,000 a month of premium like some of these guys are. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. You get 2 a week. That's $80 a year. $80 a year is $16,000 in renewal money. As long as you follow up with your clients, send a letter out, make sure they're still in the right plan, and as it builds, you get more and more referrals. So one of those things, I mean, and I think it's very doable? Yeah. I mean, people might think I'm blowing smoke, but I've seen it done. I've done it. I mean, I basically took a year and a half off and didn't do anything and still got referrals and built my book of business, Right. So, because those people are loyal. Those people will come back to you. You may sell them Medicare, and they may realize 2 years from now, oh, crap, I do need to pay for my burial. And then you go back and sell final expense. I get calls all the time. I got a call earlier today because I sent a letter out, kind of my midsummer letter to a client, and he's like, do you do anything with cremation plans? I don't, but I got a guy that I partner with that does pre-need funeral plans and cremation stuff. So I refer the business to him. He splits commissions with me because I'm life licensed, and so is he, and everyone's happy. So it's just a matter of, working smarter, not harder in a lot of ways, and I don't think Medicare Advantage is any harder. If you're already in the home, you already have the option to talk to people about it. Why not ask them?
Let me ask you this, and just tell you what my answer would have been to that guy calling. Yes, sir, I do take care of cremation. I'll sell you a $6,000 policy.
No, trust me, I get it. That's not what he wanted, though.
He wanted a full-fledged, the cremation plans that are there available. I hear you.
Yeah, he wants to go through the funeral home, and I was like, whatever, dude. I don't argue with people. I just pass them on. I take care of people and move them on. So
there you go. Well, let me ask you, and I don't even know if it's a viable question with the MA. I'm sure it is with the Med-Sup. Maybe that's the secondary part of the question. Do you have a favorite carrier that you deal with, and if you do, why? And I guess on both sides. MA is kind of generic, I guess, but.
On Med-Sups, I actually, even though they pay lower than anybody I have, I actually prefer Philadelphia American. Just pretty cut and dry underwriting, easy to deal with. EAP, obviously, which is nice, makes life easy. Without very low rate increases. So they are probably my favorite when it comes to Medicare supplements. I actually really liked Oxford till the 1st of August when they dropped full commission on GI. Made a lot of money on them last AEP when a bunch of people rolled out of MA. Because that was awesome. Now I don't know who I'm going to use, but we'll see how that goes this year. Medicare Advantage, it's all relative. United Healthcare seems to be the easiest to track your business. And out here, they're the most benefit rich, so they seem to be better for the client. So I would probably save them simply because of that. But, I mean, MA is about 6s. They all pay the same, at least out here anyway.
Right.
You know, I mean, I don't know if it varies in other states. I know California pays higher commissions, but I don't know if it's the same across the board. But, you know, out here it's pretty simple. So United Healthcare probably, just because I have the majority of my business there, you know, they seem to be easy. They seem to be reasonably customer friendly. And that's
now
the
out
thing.
there where you're at, do they sport the AARP logo too?
Oh yeah, they're AARP nationwide.
There we go. Okay.
As for final expense, you know, originally my favorite carrier was Royal Neighbors. I went on convention with them to Maui years ago. I really liked them before. This is back before they had the phone interview. I still think, the rate increase. Yeah, I mean, I still think they have some great niches. You know, knowing that you're done over the phone is awesome. I actually really like Security National Life. I was probably the first agent on the forum to have them. I picked them up 6 years ago because they took people to Oxygen, and they were local. I mean, I can be their headquarters in 15 minutes from my house. So, you know, that's a big deal. And obviously some of the changes, you know, when they were making changes, I actually sent some apps from the other carriers over to Tommy to kind of give them, you know, kind of let them know what other people are doing before they made the change to this new stuff. And they get it. You know, I mean, the lead credit and a lot of the other things, and not that I'm pitching them. And I mean, obviously I can get people a contract with them just like anybody else can. But they get it, and it's, you know, it's a pretty simple deal with them. So, you know, and believe it or not, I like Transamerica. I don't like the amendments of Transamerica, but the underwriting is pretty cut and dry. I don't. Yeah, exactly. I don't have the underwriting issues with them. Usually it's an amendment because I don't pay attention to the application because I'm stupid. It has nothing to do with.
You didn't check that box, Jimmy. You didn't check that box.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't get surprises on underwriting with them. Everything I've applied for has gone through exactly the way I applied for it. Just because, you know, like I said, I read the app. It's pretty cut and dry. If there's any gray area, I don't send it there. Done and done. You know?
Right. I mean, I do like that to me because I've been kind of gun shy about them, but I'm gonna turn them on here soon. So.
Yeah. I mean, their app's kind of a pain in the ass and it's long, but I mean, but I know they can serve business. I mean, I'll give you an example. My least favorite company is Americo. Because I don't feel like they. I mean, I've had more lapses with Americo, the off and on times I've had them in 6 years, than anybody else. I don't think they know how to conserve business. And
that could be a drafting issue. It could be it could be a drafting issue. It could be a agent service issue, not notifying an agent of whatever. You know, those two go hand in hand. I mean, I hear you. And their placement ratio, I think they did some tightening on their underwriting. I've heard through the grapevine their placement ratio hasn't been as liberal, you know, as it used to be. So
I
don't know what's up with that, but
I don't know either. But you know, if they're going to cause me problems, I mean, as much as Transamerica likes to do amendments, those are usually my own fault. So I don't blame them for that, even though I think they're annoying. Fortunately for me, I mean, I can mail within 25 miles of my house and you know, in perpetuity and never have any issues. I mean, I live just north of Salt Lake City, and this is where the majority of the population lives. So I don't ever have to travel if I don't want. You know, unlike a lot of the guys that think the rural areas are great, the rural areas here are 4,000 people. Why should I go there? You know what I mean?
So just threw up in my mouth.
Yeah, I know. You Georgia guys have.
It must be nice, man. Here in the South, Here in the South.
Yeah, it's a totally different animal.
It is. Let me ask you this, because I've got my own take on this, but you know, obviously price is important, right? No matter what you're selling, price.
Sure.
You know. That's one of the main things, you know, that I focus on with the Fine Experience presentation. I don't even know if I call it a presentation at this point. It's just my talk. What I do, I just say the same damn thing over and over and over, and whoever is going to get that hook is going to get it. Whoever doesn't, I'm out the door. But with MedSup specifically, I mean, I think it's important if you can beat a price. But say you're one of these guys that doesn't want to have 8 carriers. Say you only want to have 2. Or 3. Now, obviously, you want to trick your client right. You want to save some money. But do you think it's absolutely necessary to always go with the absolute lowest one if you don't have them? Like, for instance, you know, if you've got an Aetna and maybe it's, say, an Oxford or whoever, but there's another carrier that is lower, but you don't have them. So, you know, you can save them a few bucks, you know, on what they have. I guess the only negative of that is if you run across the ones that you have.
Well, I mean, exactly. You know, I mean, a couple things. I mean, the way I look at it is this: there's a couple that are sometimes cheaper than what I have, and I don't worry about them because it's not like you're marketing to final expense people where they're sending back 4 or 5 cards every 2 years. These people are getting a few phone calls and they send some calls back, but usually if you get a hold of somebody and you can help them, it's because no one else got a hold of them. So I do believe price is important, of course, but I also believe that education is important. Like, the thing I learned from Frank was Plan G. And,
right.
Plan F is the secret sauce, and everyone thinks Plan F is so great. And I talked to an agent the other day, he's like, oh, I only sell Plan F because it's so great. I'm like, did you know about the Part B deductible going up? He's like, no. I was like, the premium going up? He's like, no. I'm like, how do you not know these things?
Isn't Plan F going away altogether?
Well, by 2020 they're talking about, and obviously making changes. But, I mean, so, for me it's about educating people. And by the time you get done talking with people, and really it's about being an expert on the subject. You understand I only typically sell 3 plans. Plan F, if they absolutely have to have it, obviously. Plan G, or Plan N. So what I try to do is have at least a few of the top carriers in the market and understand their underwriting, and then we have the conversation. And I look at rate. I have CSG, so I look at rate increases, and I look at history, and I also rely on the forum for history. Like United of Omaha hasn't been bad. I hear the rate increases have been little or nothing, but historically they like to jack rates. Yep, close books of business and start over again. And so, barring, something dramatic, I try to find somewhere different to place people. Aetna's really good out here, which is under American Continental. Obviously, they've got a good household discount out here, and we, Philadelphia American. So, I mean, really, I try to look at the situation and see what's going to benefit people. People always, oh, I've never heard of them. Well, let me tell you, as long as you know what you're talking about and you can educate people correctly, based on how Medicare grades these. I tell people, I was like, I could sell you Jimmy's Insurance Company in Utah. It wouldn't matter.
Right.
It's like, if for some reason I go bankrupt or out of business, you have guaranteed acceptance in the next one. So you're always protected under Medicare. But some people are so scared they want the Blue Cross name or the AARP name, and I'm like, that's fine. I mean, that's why I carry those. So if they want them, I can sell them.
Right.
So I think you have to have every carrier under the sun, no. But I think if you have a mixture of, I think you need more than 2. Obviously, but for me, I'm selling MA, so I have United Healthcare no matter what, which is
right.
most liberal underwriting in the world. I mean, it's easy. You can get almost anybody down there. But, you want to have a few. I have Equitable, obviously. I have Oxford. Now that they've changed the rates on GI, I don't know if there's really a place for them other than maybe turning 65 for me. And I have a handful of folks, spread throughout. But, it's just a matter of, is price important? Yes. But oftentimes I run across people where I can save them, $50 or $100 a month on some of these plans because they got put in a plan that had a book of business closed, and they're still healthy enough to qualify for something else. I saved a husband and wife $200 a month a few months ago between the two of them.
And their agent C65 them and just never contacted them again.
The worst. No. So here's an answer to your question. The worst thing is the agent actually looked to see if he could find something else for him, and he couldn't. He couldn't, and I'm like, well, it's because he's not calling. So I went and sold him United of Omaha, which is the blended rate, unisex rate. And, because he didn't look hard enough at how long they'd been, because she'd had breast cancer and he had a couple of issues, but they were far enough outside of the look-back period that they would qualify,
right.
But he didn't bother to look hard enough because he was making his money. Whereas I went right in there, saved him $200 a month. I'll probably get a birthday present from him.
Take them.
So,
question: Is Philadelphia American a subsidiary of New Era?
New Era Life. Yep.
Okay, they are New Era. Okay, I thought that.
Yeah, New Era Life Insurance Company.
Yeah, because I actually have them. Of course, I haven't wrote a single piece of business. Go figure.
Yeah.
I heard they're good. They're pretty good too, but I don't know how strict they are. They don't really want T65. I don't think so.
Yeah, they no, they don't. I mean, they have a 5-year look back on a lot of stuff, so that you got to be careful there. But their underwriting's pretty cut and dry. So.
Right. Let me ask
not a lot of gray area.
Yeah. If there's a final expense agent out there listening, let's just say we know AAP's coming up, right? They're already starting to advertise it on TV. I've seen 3 commercials a day. So if there's a guy out there that's thinking, hey, and these messed up people think that's the only time they can switch. A lot of them, they're not for their own fault. They're just ignorant in it. They haven't been explained. Like you said, education's key. Their agent hasn't done a good job in explaining, or they bought the thing over the phone. I don't know. My aunt called in several years ago and bought her own. Okay.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
Yeah, so they know they need it and they buy it, but then nobody ever markets to them to help them. They don't realize they can switch. The incumbent carrier's not going to tell them, right? So,
of course not.
If there's a guy out there listening right now that says, "Hey, I want to take advantage of all this, hundreds of millions of marketing for AEP that's going to twitch the nerve of people on med subs, thinking that's the only time they can switch. they're gonna be they're gonna be ready. They're gonna be fertile to know they're gonna be looking. What would you tell somebody to do? Drop mail for med stuff in areas? Drop mail. Okay.
Yeah, drop mail and hire a telemarketer, or buy some telemarketed leads. I know there's some guys on the forum that sell telemarketed leads for med subs. I think Fortune 202 or whatever his call sign is, Glenn. I know he does it. They sound
yours
like
included. Yours included is going to start that here real soon.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
So I mean, to me, direct mail is always the best return. The issue is you need to do it and get it rolling right away. I mean, because a lot of people. I mean, I can't tell you how many people. I mean, I would say half the people I talk to realize don't think they can change during the year, and that's bad education. I mean, a lot of agents don't know that either. They're clueless.
Right.
So when you explain the difference between med subs and MA and Part D drug plans and and help people, but yeah, I mean, direct mail is a big one, and there's plenty of good direct mail places. I mean, of course, I have done thousands of pieces with Chris Lead Connection, so I really like Chris. Stellar. I've used Target Leads, mail into Wyoming. For some reason, it will mail Utah. I think they had a compliance issue because the Department of Insurance here are a bunch of dumbasses.
I hear you.
Yeah, but Target Leads is good for that kind of stuff, and they all have good leads that pull. That's probably what I would do, but, I mean, if they have questions, call me or message me. I'll be happy to tell you what I've done and where I've got the greatest success for me personally. I mean, that's really the reality of it is, you want people that have done it, and it may be different in your area than it is in mine, and there's some value to the way some of the other guys do it. Like we talked about before we started recording, but, do I think it needs to all be done over the phone, in a particular manner with them getting on their own computer and looking at it? I mean, half my clients don't even have email. So,
exactly,
I can't expect to do screen share. Not that that's not a viable option, and there's a lot of people that will do it that way. I'm just not.
It is going to cut your market down a little bit.
Yeah, that are cut out for that, and I have no problem mailing stuff. I mean, I've mailed packets to 20 people, and I've sold 15 of them. So, I mean, maybe that's an anomaly, but I think if you educate people and you actually follow through and do what you say you're going to do, people are going to sign up. I mean,
if they are dropping mail, they need to watch their penetration area, right? If they're doing it for med stuff, they need to watch the penetration, because I'm assuming that when you drop that mail, you're going to get back people that are only MA. I mean, you're going to have med stuff people in there, but you're going to get back people that are only MA as well, and they're not necessarily looking to go to a med stuff.
Yeah, just like final expense, you've got people that are clueless. Just like it could say life insurance 10 times on the lead, and they'll still tell you they thought it was free. I mean, it's just you're dealing with a lot of times you're dealing with people that are either just clueless. I mean, I sent final expense mailers out a couple months ago. I got in a neighborhood with $1 million houses. I'm like, I didn't know what this is about. I'm like, why would you send it back? I mean, how do you make $1 million, enough to buy $1 million house in life, and how do you be that successful in business? I mean, that clueless about reading a card. But it happens. So, I mean, that's what I tell people is, you're going to run across those. You want low MA penetration if you can find it. And the majority of the carriers can be sold over the phone. Even MA can be sold over the phone if you do it compliantly, and that's one thing where we succeed at. Compared to a lot of places, is we have guys that are actively selling MA over the phone. Like I said, probably 1,500 to 2,000 apps last year over the phone. So if we need help with that, if guys need help with that, we're happy to help people with that. That's probably one of the biggest things we can offer to MA agents is the ability to sell over the phone and teach them how to do it compliantly. Because that's the hardest part is you want to be compliant. But med subs is easy. I mean, I would say 80% of my med subs have been sold over the phone. I actually like to go sit with people, but that's, but that's as long as I don't have to drive 100 miles.
Sometimes they don't want you to come to the house,
No.
They would just send it over the mail.
But for me, like I said, I mean, I can usually talk to somebody and get a feel for where they're going to be better placed. And if it's an MA, I'd rather go see them face-to-face and do a whole presentation of Medicare 101, make sure they understand all the moving parts, and, obviously, and have a scope beforehand, but then go into MA if that's what makes the most sense. They know I'm coming to talk about it anyway, but I want to make sure they understand all the moving parts of Medicare. And that's one of the things that, like I said, that we can offer. But the biggest thing is over the phone. I mean, I said, you can get MA, you can get Medicare contracts pretty much anywhere. Again, like I'll reiterate, till I'm blue in the face, the difference is is we are active producers. We do some things that other people don't. We're running a Medicare telephonic call center, more or less, guys that are selling over the phone all day, every day. They have their own book of business outside of here, but they actually do quite a bit of phone sales. We can teach people how to do that compliantly because we got guys that are full-time doing it.
Okay.
That's one of the biggest benefits. Other than that, and then we're active producers, and I can't harp on that enough. I mean, you can call guys at some of these big FMOs. These are college graduates that have never sold insurance in their life. You can tell me all day long how great a product is. I don't care. I don't give a shit.
Some of them aren't even licensed.
Unless you
some of them aren't even licensed.
Yeah. Oh, and my point is they're clueless. They have no idea what they're talking about. And there's nothing against those people, but I'd rather get my information from people I know what's talking about. When I've done my final expense, for example, the guys that trained me, and even to this day forward, the guys that I know and the friends I have, those are guys that have been in the field grinding it out. So I'm not going to listen to some guy blow smoke, up my skirt or whatever it may be and tell me how it's going to be. I want guys that have done it tell me how it's done. Period.
Yeah, the guys that have done it are going to tell you things too that the other ones don't even know. But from experience,
well, exactly.
Certain
little
niches and certain things to do and not to do. Yeah. So with your group, okay. So obviously you got training covered. You got product selection covered. What about lead selection as far as you give recommendations for that to your agents? Obviously, I mean,
yeah,
the whole thing set up.
So I've got. Like I said, I've tried every lead source there is. So I direct mail is a pretty simple one for both products. Obviously, I know where to get lists and names of people. There's a handful of people that I've dealt with that I trust and they'll take care of me. Telemarketing leads. I'll give people direction and give them experience because I've used pretty much everybody. Not that I'm proud of that because I'm a dabbler, but nonetheless, it's a benefit that I can say, well, these guys really sucked, or this lead was awesome, or this one pulled real well, but people are a little more screwy, and things like that. Like out here, I hate the E64 lead. It's not that it's a bad lead. I just, for some reason, I struggle to transition or get, I get bigger idiots. Whereas the simple life insurance thing is way better. So it's all how you look at it.
I would rather sit with somebody that's what's the word? I would rather sit with somebody that's a little more argumentative but has sense than sit with a dumbass.
Yeah. Well,
because
exactly.
It's like,
well, my favorite, I thought that was free, or I just sent that back because I didn't know why, or that's not my name. I mean, come on, people, really? I mean, you really think we're all that stupid? I was like, but again, that's why guys are mailing, and getting 50, 60 leads a week so they can skim it, and I don't blame them. I mean, that's a lot of money to spend on leads.
Yeah.
But when you're writing 30, 40 grand a month, who cares?
Yeah, you can do it.
I mean, and I'll be the first one to tell you, if people are looking to go exclusively final expense full-time, we're not the guys for that. I mean, there's plenty of groups on there, 360 or FEX or FS for some people. I mean, it depends on who it is. They're all going to be better at that niche than we are. Now, if you're a final expense guy that wants to expand Medicare, give me a call. I can help you capitalize on that because I've done both. I mean, I've done both full-time, or, well, I guess as full-time as we actually are, for 5 or 6 years. So I know both sides of it. I've sent plenty of direct mail for both products. Even in final expense, I've done turning 65 leads. I've done, I don't know how many face-to-face sales. Of MAs.
I think that
500,
T65
600
market, dude. I think the T65 market is just a freaking gold mine if you mine it right and don't let go of them after you get them going. It's just, So let me ask you this: why did you, as we're kind of winding it down here, why did you actually pick the senior market? I know a lot of guys always ask that.
What's funny is so originally when I got into the insurance business, well, originally I thought senior market because someone sold me on the dream of Medicare supplements, and at the time they were paying, I don't know, 40%, some ridiculous commission back in the early 2000s, before MA even existed. And unfortunately, I just, because of some personal stuff, getting divorced, and it was a mess. I couldn't make it happen because I basically lost my ass.
I hear you. I've been divorced. I hear you.
Yeah, you know how that goes.
I do.
And then, so when I got back in 2009, actually I got recruited. I was all over Craigslist and different places looking for a job because I was in the car business, and I was like, man, I can't do this shit anymore. I never see my kids. I'm a single guy raising 2 kids, which is not easy. If I actually, man. Yeah, I mean, if I actually had darker hair, I'd probably be gray-haired instead of blonde. So, but it's one of those things. But so I was actually got into selling major medical. Got recruited by a couple guys here, and they were doing a ton of like Assurant Health over the phone. So I started dabbling in that. I'm like, this is all right, but the leads were a fortune, and it didn't make a lot of sense. And then I heard rumors of this Obamacare stuff coming down, and I'm like, I'm not even messing with that crap. So I started looking and came across. I don't know if I came across the forum first or it was after, but I found the forum. This is back in '09, and found Equita somehow. And I thought, this seems like it's a pretty easy job. I mean, yeah, go figure, easy job my ass, but it's still better than working 60 hours on the car lot. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And
that's right. Yeah.
So I started. So I paid my upfront costs with them back then. It was $300-400, and got my first batch of leads and just started piddling around. I was writing $3, $4, $5 a month. I was still working part time for my buddy and just kind of dabbling. But I mean, when you haven't, I was making $6, $7 a month in the car business, just part time in it. So I was doing all right. It's decent money, and Final Expense was just plugging away. And then, like I said, I ordered a bunch of B leads through those guys, and went out and just killed it. I mean, for me, a guy that was writing, grand or two a week every 2 weeks on not a lot of leads. I thought, oh crap, I went out and wrote like $4 or $5 grand in a week, and then, or maybe it was like $7 grand. I'm like, holy shit, this is the greatest thing ever. So that just kind of launched me, and then starting Medicare, and realistically, as much as I guess part of the appeal of the market is not only, they're the baby boomers and they get a bad rap because they basically put us in debt supposedly and all that other jazz. But I like, you know what I'm talking about. But I like to meet people.
It's all coming to an end soon, Jimmy. It's all coming to an end. Ride the wave.
Exactly. But I like people that have a little perspective. People that, some like, I got a client that's like 97 years old. And, I got clients in their 90s, and then these people live through the Depression. Those are the people that really have perspective, the parents of the baby boomers. And, you get to meet people and talk to them, and, and I'll be 42 this year, so I'm no kid by any means, but compared to my kids and my nieces and nephews, come on. It's like a breath of fresh air talking to someone that's got a clue. So,
it is.
That's part of the appeal of the market, and really a lot of these people, a good majority of them, probably 75% of them, are very grateful to have someone that's willing to take care of them, and do right by them. And if they feel like you're honest and they can trust you and they can get a hold of you, it's, I got clients, that give me stuff, and I had one lady that takes pictures and gave me a picture that she made for me, and I got, another client made a handmade wood bowl. I got all sorts of crap from these people, and and it's just awesome because they appreciate you. You're looking out for them. You send them a couple letters a year. You answer the phone when they call you. And that's the key in the MA business anyway, is to watch the market and how it turns. Like this year, I don't have to do a whole lot because the plans that I have people on are not adjusting a whole lot. So it's nice, but I'll still talk to people. I'll still send letters out and say, hey, this is what's coming on. And that's the key, and they appreciate it far more than anyone in their 20s and 30s does, or even younger than that. They just it's a different life. They've been raised differently. It's a different society. And just different mentality, I guess. And I think that's what I appreciate about it, is maybe I'm an older soul, so I resonate more with those people. But I enjoy it far more than I ever did selling health insurance over the phone, or even selling underage life insurance. I just, these younger group want something for nothing, and a lot of the seniors are the same way because they've gotten used to something for nothing with MA, zero premium plans. But they still have a greater appreciation, a lot of them, more so than the younger generation. That's my biggest thing, is that, and to be honest with you, there's a lot of money in it. I have, if I didn't want to work 6 to 9 months out of the year, I don't have to now. Obviously that takes a while to get there, but I don't have to if I don't want to. And that's the nice thing, is, I have more time with my kids, and this market more so than anything. Like mortgage protection, you'd be working at night, so you wouldn't be home at night. Whereas Final Expense, you'd be home during the day. MA, med stuff, you can do most of your work before 5 o'clock, and then you're done, unless people have to meet because they're working. But otherwise, it's a pretty easy job when it comes to hours. It's an easy job, not at all, but when it comes to hours, it's not a hard job. So
right, it's good for families, that's for sure.
Exactly. And that was my thing, is all about my kids. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you gotta be there. You can't be working nights, and I can understand. The car business. My cousin has been in that for years, general manager, sales manager, F&I manager, all that, right, for years.
Oh, yeah.
And he got out of it. I mean, he's still in it, but he's in a outside sales position, regional manager for a secondary finance company. So he's working 9 to 5 now. He don't know what the hell to do with himself, because he works, he covers his territory, and he's back home, before 6.
Yeah.
And that car business is rough, man. It'll age you quick.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the best thing I ever did was get out of it. I loved it. Some of my best friendships in the world are there. But at the same time, I mean, my kids, I don't know. I mean, it's just the life is so much better now that I'm not always gone. That's all I'm
right
about. Unfortunately, this business being hard to get into and build to a point where you can get to where I'm at, but it's worth it. And every guy that does it will tell you it's worth it.
Right. Well, cool, man. This has been awesome, dude. There's a lot of information we covered, so I think people will enjoy this. I'm sure you'll get some danger close contact there.
There you go.
So again, let's give out your name, Jimmy Hobson, and Jimmy, if you could just go ahead and give out your website and your contact information again, and we will wind it down because I know you got stuff to do.
Okay, they've got 2 websites, like I said, my personal one, www.utahseniorservices.com. That's my personal producer site. Marketing side, www.nationalsm for senior marketing and nationalsm.com. You can email me at Jimmy at either of those URLs. And if you have questions, concerns, want to pick my brain, call me, man. I'm always open. I try to help people. I feel like without the forum, I wouldn't be where I'm at. So I'm happy to give back. My number is 801-979-6365. Call or text between 8 and 8 is normally okay. You call it too late, you have someone else to answer to. So
I hear you. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, great, man. Well, I appreciate your time today, and hang on the line and see if when I stop recording, it may cut you off, but it may not. So just hang on. We'll wind it down. And again, I appreciate your time. So
alrighty.
I'll be posting this soon. So hang on one second.
All right, guys. Well, another great interview. I appreciate Jimmy Hobson taking his time to educate us more on the wonderful world of Medicare supplements and Medicare Advantage, as well as a little final expense thrown in there for you. Again, guys, take a look at our lead website, www.theleadjerk.com, for the best in final expense and Medicare tel leads. We've got the Joanne as well as the Sweet Southern Alley Avatar leads now up for sale. And we also have the live telemarketed Medicare supplement leads. So feel free to reach out to us, www.theleadjerk.com.